When inter-ethnic violence erupts in Kyrgyzstan last June, more than 400 people die and thousands of homes are destroyed. Making his way to Osh City, British freelance Robin Forestier-Walker manages to document the chaos of the period and the individual tragedies. In Osh, Robin finds a city in turmoil. On one side of the front line are Uzbek neighbourhoods blocked off by makeshift barricades. On the other, the military and areas controlled by Kyrgyz mobs.
We didn't know what to expect when we landed, but we were the first camera crew team in to arrive just within 24 hours of this all starting. Everything had been shut down, everything had come to a grinding halt. Agriculture had stopped, trade, transport networks were blocked, and there were power cuts. It was like a city under siege.
Travel between Uzbek and Kyrgyz-controlled areas is extremely dangerous.
There was great difficulty in travelling around. The information was conflicting, there were all kinds of rumours. What we did know is that armed gangs, militias, possibly the military and the police and mobs were rampaging across the Osh city and Osh area. We could hear a lot of gunfire and we never knew quite what was around the corner. I didn't know whether snipers were going to be shooting at me or not when I pointed my camera up an alleyway. I didn't know whether another military vehicle was going to come around the corner and open fire on our vehicle. But you just carry on. I think it's just that natural curiosity, that inquisitiveness, and that desire to keep pressing the record button and to keep filming.
In an Uzbek neighbourhood in the centre of the city, rows of houses have been systematically destroyed. Robin comes across a horrifying scene.
The buildings, the burnt out structures, the crumbling ash bones on the floor of a room where an old man had been too old to escape the flames.
Beside the elderly man's charred remains, all that's left, a pair of crutches.
It was like a horror movie that I was in, but somehow when I'm holding my camera, I feel aloof from it. I feel perhaps under a false sense of security that I'm protected from it. I'm just observing what's happening. It was absolute chaos. And what we were getting in the first few days were stories, and terrible stories, from people on the run, escaping the violence. And there were all kinds of atrocities that these people claimed were being committed.
A local mosque becomes a makeshift hospital. It's here that Robin learns of more atrocities.
We asked about rape allegations, and the doctor began to tell us what she and her staff had encountered over those last few days.
They raped a 5-year-old girl.
We raped a 5-year-old girl.
Girl, 5 years old. 5 years old girl raped. I can't.
The translator turned away from the camera and was so visibly upset, and then I turned back to the doctor and she was sobbing.
Robin also finds a new cemetery where funerals are underway. And there's one image that haunts him to this day.
We stopped at a funeral that actually in the past, this place had just been a grass field, and now it had become a new cemetery. And while I was there, at least 3 or 4 bodies were brought in and buried. And the one that perhaps will stay with me is the young boy of 15 whose father was there, and his friends had carried the coffin in. And I asked to see the body. I wanted to see what had been done to the body, and they unwrapped the shroud and they showed me. And he'd been shot in the chest at relatively close range by a shotgun because of the pattern of pellet marks, and he probably had died, I hope, quite quickly. But so young, just a young boy, just caught up in it, like so many of the people. We knew that it wasn't just ordinary Uzbek against Kyrgyz man. It's still a mystery who precisely was behind it, who gave the orders, who organized it. And I think that the most important thing to come out of this is that we were there, that we were able to bring attention to the wider world quite what was going on in this rather ignored, isolated part of the former Soviet Union that will become extremely important in the coming years.